How's it going, Internet? I am WavePunk, and if you have been watching my Twitch or my YouTube channel at all recently, you've probably noticed I really like Overwatch. Overwatch is a super cool game, and obviously I really love Rocket League too. These are kind of the two big games that I'm really involved with right now, and people have been comparing the two because they're very recent games that have seen a lot of success. And, you know, talking about the esports scenes and talking about why does Overwatch have a $300,000 prize pool when Rocket League only had a $75,000 prize pool and stuff like that, you know, and trying to compare the two scenes. And I thought, you know, why not? Let's take the time to talk about the pros and the cons, talk about the similarities and the differences between Overwatch and Rocket League, and talk about what those factors might have going forward with their esports scenes respectively. So we're going to start with talking about the similarities. Both games are decently unique games in their categories. Okay, Rocket League to a certain degree has kind of created its own category. It's made this rocket car sports games thing, right? You know, and people ask me, what kind of game is it? And it's like, well, it's not a sports game, because to me, sports games are like a simulator of real sports, and Rocket League is not that in any way, shape, or form. It's completely a different thing, but it's not a racing game. But what car games are there that aren't racing games? You know, like it's its own thing. So it's this very unique kind of game that is good because it attracts a very new type of player, a very different type of player. It scratches an itch that no game has scratched before. So it gets that sort of thing. And Overwatch is not quite as unique as Rocket League, but it is still a first-person shooter with some sort of MOBA stuff thrown in there, and like a very heavy influence from Team Fortress, but without the weapon switching, which, you know, that's like the biggest thing in first-person shooting is the ability to have different types of weapons and to swap weapons, you know, mid-game and stuff. And Overwatch kind of takes a lot of these ideas and throws them into this pool in a way that we haven't seen it before, to the extent that, like, yes, it's in first person most of the time, and yes, you're shooting guns most of the time, but there's also times when you're in third person holding a shield or swinging a hammer or running around with a sword or, you know, just being a healing ball or, you know, whatever. Like, there's a lot of parts of it that, like, it pulls you out of the first person and stuff like that. So it's not even a true first person shooter. It's like a mostly first person, sometimes third person shooter hack slash spell game. You know, it's its own thing. So it's both games have a new spin on kind of a concept that is very easy to understand. People get soccer, people get King of the Hill, or whatever the game type is that you're playing in Overwatch. This is not hard to understand game, but they put this new twist on it that gives people a kind of a new way to express their gamer personality. Both games also are made extremely well, and from the very beginning have experienced just wild success. You know, other than some server issues at first, other than, you know, typical good healthy stuff like communities being like, yo, you got to change this in ranked, or you got to rebalance this, you know, and the developers listening to the communities and trying to make those changes, or just saying why they're not making the changes, you know, or whatever. Like, other than, you know, stuff like that, the game has just done well. Both games got off to a very hot start and have stayed hot ever since. And lastly, both games are highly competitive. The skills required to play it. And lastly, both games are very easy to get into and have extremely high skill caps, which to me is maybe the most important thing in creating a good game. If you can make a game that anybody can enjoy, anyone can enjoy driving the car around on the field and hitting the ball, and if you score in any way, shape, or form, you instantly are having fun. And if you watch your opponent score an own goal, you're instantly having fun. There's few games that I enjoy losing in as much as I enjoy losing in Rocket League. I can still just have a blast just because it's a crazy game, and it's weird, and it's funky, and you put hats on your car, and, like, you know, it's weird and stuff. But then when you want to try and take it more seriously, there's this just world of skill that's required to play this game at the top level, and the better you get at it, the more you realize just how bad you are at it. And all that carries over to Overwatch too. If you're brand new and you're not any good at shooting, or you're not any good at playing, well, just be a healer or be Bastion and just do stupid amounts of damage from behind a shield and get play of the game at the end, and you feel great. You know, it just has so much fun, and you can have that blast. But then when you want to take the game more seriously, you start picking up the other characters. You start to realize how much depth there is and how much involves, you know, countering characters and realizing that if this character's on the field, I can't play the character I'm playing, and I need to switch to someone else to take them out, or whatever. There's so much depth to both these games, and that sort of factor is what makes them both great esports, and is going to be so much fun going forward, right? But there's one key difference between Rocket League and Overwatch, and that's how their esports communities have grown. In Overwatch, you see a very inorganic, corporately backed esports scene where Blizzard is just pumping money into the scene, and within a month, maybe less than that, of the game being released, they had already announced this massive tournament. And you see E-League in the very first season they're playing, they're competing for $300,000 with teams that just kind of came out of nowhere. They were just very thrown together from former Team Fortress 2 pros and some other players that met each other during the beta, and orgs just immediately pick them up, and then maybe some of them get dropped even. And it's like, you don't like it's what's happening. How did this scene come about? I want to watch it, but there's nothing like how, where, and which tournament is the one that's the big one right now. And I want to just get plugged into the Overwatch community. And I went looking even for the Overwatch equivalent of like RLC, or like for someone like Cloud Fuel from Rocket League. We're looking for like the Overwatch equivalent of that, and it's not there because the esports community didn't exist before the esport did. The esport was there, and then people started going like, oh, it has an esports scene, and they start to watch, and it's a very dangerous thing to do when you decide, I'm just going to force my game to be an esport. Yes, Overwatch is a fantastic game for esports. It's a great sort of thing that I think lots of people could really enjoy watching, but that doesn't mean that you should just force it into becoming one. And it could easily have a situation like you had with Infinite Crisis, where the game was in closed beta, and then went into open beta, and then was released, and 5 months after being released, it just didn't exist anymore. It was just gone. And they promised this to be the next big esport, and it was DC. Like, DC is great, right? They have like all sorts of stuff. It's like, who doesn't want a MOBA with Superman and like these DC characters? That sounds cool. That sounds like fun. And it fell flat so fast, so quickly, that within 5 months, not the esports scene wasn't gone in 5 months. They shut down the servers to the game within 5 months. It was over. Now, the company that made Infinite Crisis is no Blizzard, and Blizzard does things very well. Obviously, they have quite the track record with the games that they've made, and Overwatch is already more successful than Infinite Crisis was, just as a purely played game, just as a game that is being played. But you see the way that the developers tried to force Infinite Crisis into being the next big esport, and it just didn't work. People can sense when it's not organic, when it's not, we created this, when we didn't create this sport because we love it, it's just there because money's in it. It's just not going to do as well. And so it makes me scared for Overwatch. And you see that completely contrasted by the Rocket League scene, where the game was just put out as, we love this game. Psyonix is just, they love it, and so they put it out there for people to play it, and the people loved it too because it's an amazing game, right? And then people said, we want to play against each other, and their Reddit started hosting tournaments on the subreddit. The mods and people started being like, we're gonna organize a tournament. We're just gonna sign up here and we start playing, and you get to play in those, and you'd have a blast at first, and then you meet up against a team that was actually good, and you get obliterated, and it was great, And then all of a sudden, these organizations start popping up like RLC and Mocket and PPL, and these different organizations they're just there from people who love the game and just want to help. They just want to facilitate this sort of professional competitive Rocket League scene because they love it. And you have a 10-week season happen with the Rocket League Central Pro League with these teams that consistently showed up and played. And then the tournament, the prize pool at the end was $5,000, entirely just on donations, entirely just on people saying, we love this game and we want the pros to have something to win, so let's pump money into it. And after all of that, Sonic said, this is a real thing. People really love this game as an esport. We should put some money into it and support this community that clearly loves our game and that is doing the most to promote our game to other people. And they started putting money into AVGL and RLC and ESL, and then a couple months later, you have RLCS, and you guys know the rest of that. It's going so well. Everybody is like plugged into this in a way that they know these pro teams, and it's very easy to get access to this community. All you got to do is get on any of the one Discords that have just all these pro players, that have all these casters, that have all these people that love the tournament. You can talk to them about it, and it's all over the subreddit, and it's fantastic the way that the community has fully grown. And you see this emulated in games like Super Smash, especially the Melee community, which has no corporate backing from Nintendo. Nintendo does not care about them. I think it's even safe to say Nintendo doesn't want them to do what they're doing. Yet these people go and get TV TVs from anywhere, because you got to play it on the old TVs. It doesn't work on the digital TVs. And they will take them and they will make these tournaments in their houses, in their bars, and after years and years and years of this game being out, you're still seeing these tournaments bigger than ever at EVO, where they're packing arenas just to have people watch this game that's 2 generations old on a 2-generation-old console. And it's incredible esports. Some of the best moments I've ever seen in esports happen in Super Smash. And you could look at it and you could say, the production's not as high quality, the streams don't look as good, the casting maybe isn't as professional sounding as something else, but at the same time, these guys are where they are because they love the game, and all I can say is more power to them. It's an amazing scene to watch, that it entirely exists on the love and the passion of its community, and that's the sort of esport that's going to be around for a long time. Where Overwatch, I love Overwatch. I want it to be around for a long time, but I fear for its just completely fabricated scene right now. I want to see it get back. I want to see people start to get into it, and again, I don't think it's going to fall flat on its face. I don't think that in 6 months Overwatch is going to be a thing. I think Overwatch is going to be a thing for a very long time. I just really hope that competitive esports Overwatch stays around just as long and manages to get big, even though it's starting in this kind of inorganic way that doesn't work out as often. So anyways, that was just it's kind of a rambly video. I don't know. It just seemed like a good thing to talk about for Esports Thursdays. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that thought out there. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Put the comments down below. I always like to read those and respond to those. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTuber stuff. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.